Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a little bit of I guess not a little bit because I haven't posted one in 2 months, but I wanted to do a wrap up for January and February. And I'm going to go over all the books that I read. I think I read, let me look. I read like 28 books. So these are not going to be super fast. I'm probably just going to be like, hey, this is a book I read. I liked it, disliked it, star rating. So like kind of like a yes, no, maybe situation. Instead of like going super deep into all of them. I think I'll go into some of them, but not all of them. And I didn't grab any of the physical ones from off my shelf because I just didn't feel like it. So this is what we're doing today. So we'll go ahead and start with the first one in January. And I'm just looking at my phone for this because it's going to be so much easier. So I'm just going to like kind of go through my list and then the star rating and like a yes, no, maybe. So the first one I read was The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I'm going to put like the books, I think, up here just in the corner. I'll put my star rating under them maybe. I haven't decided yet. I don't love editing those in the corner because it takes me forever. But I might do it. So we'll see. If not, then that's fine. This is just kind of, this channel is about being chill, vibing. I'm kind of just trying to have fun and inform you guys of what I'm reading and not put too much pressure on myself to do all the other things like other YouTubers, because I just want to recommend books to people. That's what I'm here for. So was The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I gave it a 3-star, and at this point that feels a little generous. This is going to be a no for me. I did not really enjoy this book. I felt that it was kind of pointless. I don't really understand why there needed to be more books off after the Inheritance Games. It really could have been wrapped up. So this is the second book in the Inheritance Games series. It really could have been wrapped up. The book felt kind of unnecessary and almost like a copy and paste of book one because it kind of followed the same plot lines and they accused the same people again. I was just like, I don't really understand the point of this. So then the next one was Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in his Skyward series. This is a young adult sci-fi. Chef's Kiss. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing book. Loved this one so much. Would highly recommend it. That's really about all. I would just recommend the whole series because I'm gonna get into the next one. So I read the third one, Cytonic, which is the third book that I read in January. That one was also really good. I think that one might have been my favorite. So obviously a yes on this book, but I think it might have been my favorite. It was just really fun and I loved the adventure aspect of it. So that is definitely a yes. And then the next book I read, which is the fourth book of January, is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. Yeah, I probably botched that name, but it's a cute little romance. I actually got it for like 50 cents at Half Price Books because they had a like big clearance section, and I was like, this looks kind of interesting, and I'm really glad that I got it because it was super cute. I thought the romance was really fun. I like the family aspects. Would definitely recommend this one, and it was a 4-star. And the fifth book was Defiant, which is the last book in the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. Absolutely yes to that one, of course. I gave this one a 5-star as well. I will say that it was a bit slower in the beginning than the other books. It started off a little slower. It took me a little bit longer to get into, but once I got into it, I was like, yes, I'm locked in. This book is amazing. I love this so much. So would definitely recommend that one. And then the sixth book that I read in January was Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I understand the hype around this book. I totally understand the hype around this book. It was so good. It was fun. It was interesting. It touched on some really deep topics that I thought were perfect for the time period that it was set in. I really liked all the characters. And I think I gave this one a 4.25 star because and it probably would have been a 5, but my only qualm was the ending. It felt kind of abrupt and you don't really get to learn about what happens after. I'm trying to say without spoiling stuff, but you don't really get to learn what happens after. And I wanted to know more about what happens after, So that was a little bit of a bummer for me, which is why it didn't end up being a 5-star, because I really liked almost all of it, but I just felt a little disappointed with the ending. But overall, good book, definitely a yes. Then the next book is The Selection. And this is going to be controversial, but this was a no. This is a no for me. Would not recommend this book. I gave it a 2.75 star. It just felt kind of like repetitive. It felt like something I had read before. And it almost kind of felt like watching The Bachelor. It followed a lot of the same plot points that The Bachelor does, you know, that like the stage stuff, because it is where the prince asks all these women to come to the castle and meet them, and he's dating all of them, and he's trying to pick one for the queen. So it kind of followed along the lines of The Bachelor with the planned plot points. I don't know how to say it, but if you've seen The Bachelor, you'll understand what I'm saying if you've read this book, if you're somebody who knows kind of the way The Bachelor works. But this is a no for me, a maybe if you're a young adult, probably. But even at that, like, well, I feel like, yeah, maybe a 15-year-old girl would like this book. So if you're a young adult, I would say maybe, but if you're an adult, no, I just would not recommend this book. The next one I read was And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. Guys, this romance was so good. It wasn't a 5-star, but it was so good. I gave this one a 4-star, and I had so much fun. So this is definitely a yes. I really like the vibes. I really like the chemistry between the two characters, and it is also a perfect winter book. I read it when it wasn't snowing, but it was still freezing outside, so it was perfect. And I just really liked the whole atmosphere and would definitely recommend that one. Then I also read Fairy Tale by Stephen King, and this was a really fun, really unique fantasy. I feel like sometimes when I read fantasy, like I feel like, oh, I've read this before. Oh, this is happening again. It's not always a bad thing, but sometimes it is. But this one was like, I've never read anything like this. This was so fun. So I would definitely give this one a yes. And I just really enjoyed it. I really liked the adventure. I really liked the characters. I thought everybody was really lovable and enjoyable. Everything was written well. It is a long book, and I would say that I got a little bored at certain points in it. I feel like maybe towards the middle is when I started to get a little bored. But overall, I think it was a good book. I enjoyed it and I had fun with it. And so I gave it a 4.25 star and am giving it a yes for this video. Would recommend. In January, I also read The Gallagher Place by Julie, I think it's Doerr? Oh, I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. Maybe not. This is a thriller, and it got sent to me by Zibby Publishing, and I'm very thankful to have received a copy, even though this book is going to be a no for me. I hate to say it, but this book is a no for me. I wanted to like it so bad, but what really fell off for me was the ending. The ending made the whole book kind of feel a little pointless, and so I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed in that, just the ending overall. So this is a no for me. And I don't think there's any group of people I would necessarily recommend it to. Unless you liked endings like that, like I would talk to the person and be like, okay, like what do you kind of like in a thriller? I think if I could get a feel for what the person liked, then I might, but this is just a no for me. And I gave it a 2.25 stars. So not going to recommend that one. I have another bit of a controversial one because I know so many people love this book. I read Better Than the Movies in January by Lynn Painter. And this is just a maybe for me. This is not a no, it's not a yes, it's a maybe. Because I think there were certain aspects of the book that were really good and really fun, but I really struggled with the FMC. She kind of got on my nerves so much. I'd be like, girl, you're driving me crazy. She was killing me sometimes. I ended up giving this one a 3.5 star because, I mean, I feel like that's actually a pretty good rating for me. I gave it a 3.5 star because I do think overall it was a fun book, even though occasionally I got a little bored. It still was fun. I think it's great for YA. but I did not like the FMC. So I don't think I would really recommend this to adults. I do think it's probably good for, again, like 15, 14-year-old girls. I think that's probably the age range that this would be good for. So I'm just giving it a maybe because I can see some adults liking this too. So yeah, it's just a maybe for me. And then I read a novella by Naomi Novik, I think is her name. It's called The Summer War. It was okay. It was fine. Nothing to write home about. But it was fun. I enjoyed parts of it, so I'm going to give this one a maybe as well. I think it was like 160 pages, so it wasn't long. It's not related to anything that I'm aware of. I'm pretty sure it's not. But I thought this one was fun. It wasn't like anything special, wasn't anything crazy, but I enjoyed parts of it. So yeah, it's gonna get a maybe. I gave it a 3-star because it was like just okay. I got a book from Putnam that I really liked. This was one of my last reads in January. I have like 2 more after this, I think. It's called Drive Me Crazy by Lizzie Dent. It's a F1 romance. It was really fun, really enjoyable, also really spicy, way spicier than I normally read. So I skipped parts of that because it's not that I don't read spice, I do. It was just like a lot of it had like towards the end it got a little bit and I was like, well, okay, let's just get back to the plot. But I do think it was really fun. I really like the romance. I really like the F1 aspect. I think my biggest complaint was I wanted a little bit more of the F1 stuff. I wanted them to go, or I wanted the author to go a little more into detail about the races themselves and kind of talk more about the car and how all of that worked and the team. So I think that would have been fun. But I am going to say that this book is a yes because it was a fun romance, like just cut and dry as like a sports romance. Yes, it's a fun sports romance. I just wanted a little bit more out of certain parts of the book. But I ended up giving it a 3.5 star, which is, again, a pretty good rating for me. I wish the characters felt a little deeper. I wanted a little more background for each of the characters. I wanted to feel more connected to them. I think that was why. I don't always remember why I give books certain ratings, but I stand by the 3.5 stars for this. I know I do stand by the 3.5 stars for that. If I don't stand by a rating, I normally say it in this. I'm like, okay, I should have rated that differently. So you guys will know if my thought process has changed on the book. The second to last read in January was The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I gave this one a 3.75 star, and I'm going to give it a yes. However, I don't think that it's for me necessarily. I think that overall the book was good, the writing was good, the development was good, it flowed pretty well, but I did get quite bored during parts of it. And I think I went into it expecting it to be more horror vibes. And it didn't really feel super horror-ish to me. I kind of thought, that sounds weird, horror-ish? I don't know like how that sounds, but it's fine. I don't know how else to describe it. I kind of thought there would just be more horror in it. I know there was gruesome stuff and there was vampires and some of that, but it didn't really feel like a horror book until the very end, until like the last few chapters. And I kind of thought it would be written in more of a journal entry style, which is not, of course, the book's fault, my fault. I misunderstood some of the ways people were talking about it, but I kind of thought that it would be written in more journal entry style, and it is not at all. I thought it would be kind of like Dracula, and it's not like Dracula. So keep that in mind if you're thinking it is like pretty horror, like horror vibes, it's not. And if you are expecting it to be journal entries, it's also not. It's based off of journal entries, but it is not in the journal entry style like Dracula, or I guess The Martian isn't technically journal entry, but like it's not in that type of style. But overall, I do think it was a good book, just maybe not necessarily for me. So I gave it a 3.75 because I wanted to give it a higher rating to be somewhat objective. My camera died, but we're back. So I was talking about it, but I'll probably need to redo all this part. So the last book I read in January was The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. And I'm going to give this book a maybe because I really liked it up until the end. I I was so mad about the end. I have to be honest, because this book, it goes through and gives representation of people who struggle with bad periods, like endometriosis or like uterine fibroids, stuff like that. I feel like it's a good representation for that. But there's a thing right at the end that I really hated. Like, I would have loved for that to turn out differently, because it was like, oh, this and this and that, and this will never happen for you. And then it's like, oh, well, magically all of a sudden it does because they're in love. And I'm like, it just made me so mad. It made me so mad. So I'm giving this a maybe because most of the book was good, and I don't think that this would upset some people at the end. But as somebody who has endometriosis and struggles a lot with periods and other issues due to having that condition, the ending was frustrating for me, and I think it might be as well for other people who have struggled with infertility, or people who have endometriosis, people who have uterine fibroids. I think the ending could be upsetting for that group of people. So if you're somebody who has endometriosis or infertility or any of those other issues related to stuff like that, I would not recommend this for you, because that was one of the reasons it upset me so much, just because I struggle with those issues as well. So it's a maybe, because I think that if you don't struggle with those issues, it's not going to upset you, except for it did upset one of my friends who doesn't have those same issues. She was like, that was a stupid ending. And I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, thank you. Yes, finally, somebody. So I think it's going to stick with a maybe. I gave it a 3-star, and I gave it a 3-star mainly because of how upset I was at the end. But overall, other than that, I did enjoy the book. So that's why I gave it a 3-star. But I would never read it again because of how much I hated the ending. So keep that in mind. The first book I read in February was actually a Christian nonfiction book called The Hidden Peace by Joel. Why did I say Joel like that? By Joel Mudmail. That can't be right, but that's the best I can do. Yeah, it was just a Christian nonfiction kind of about finding peace in God. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I struggled to read, well, not fun. I don't know if fun's, well, no, it was fun because I did like learning more about his family. But I struggled to rate Christian nonfiction because it's like, what am I going to say? Oh no, his parts about the story of his life weren't written well. No, it's his own story he's telling. I think it was helpful. It was helpful for me. I liked the stuff that I learned in it. So I would give it a yes if you like Christian nonfiction books. And I ended up giving it a 4-star. I struggle to rate these, but it was a yes. So I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. I also read The Happy Ever After Playlist by Abby Jimenez, which is the second book in the series with the Friend Zone book that I just talked about a second ago. I don't remember why I rated this one the way that I did. Oh, I remember now. I remember. Okay. Yes. I rated this one 3.5 stars, 3.5 stars. And I'm going to give this one a maybe as well. And the reason I rated this 3.5 stars, which I remember now, is because I found that the romance moved a little too fast. They were like, oh, we've just met and now we're deeply in love and obsessed with each other. And I was like, that feels a little off to me. That doesn't make sense. And they had really weird, attachment issues, I felt like, to each other that just kind of felt strange. So that's why I rated it 3.5 stars, and I'm going to give it a maybe. But I did like to see the main female character's journey of kind of learning to heal after loss. I thought that was really good. But still leaving it at a maybe. The next book I read in February was The 7-Year Slip, and I'm going to say yes, but I gave this one a 3.5 stars. And the reason I gave it a 3.5 stars is because it touches on some mental health topics a little strangely. Like, I feel like it just brushes over them, like it's not a big deal and it's not something we need to talk about, even though they make it a big plot point for the main female lead, like it's a big thing that has affected her. And they're just like, oh, well, we're going to mention that this is a thing, but then we're not going to go into any detail about it. And I was like, but why? But if you get rid of that, I do think it was a fun romance. I think the romance was fun. I just think the other deeper topics the author tried to go into just weren't written well or developed well, but I do think overall the book was fun, so I'm going to give it a yes. Another one I read was Red Rising, which I'm going to give 4 stars, and I'm going to say yes. However, when I read this, I was in a reading slump. So it could have been a higher star rating if I wasn't in a reading slump, so I feel like that could be a me problem. But I thought overall this was fun. My biggest issue with it is it's described as a sci-fi book. The genre is sci-fi, but it does not feel very sci-fi to me. The sci-fi books I've read are like Project Hail Mary, Skyward, and then I'm hoping to read Red Mars soon. These are books like where you're on spaceships, you're in space, you're talking about the mathematical like elements of space travel and all this stuff. And it feels super sci-fi-ish, if that makes sense. But I would say that Red Rising just didn't feel that way. I almost kind of just felt like we were on Earth. It felt more dystopian because it's set on Mars, but I almost kept thinking we were on Earth. I kept forgetting we were on Mars. And it just had more of a dystopian fantasy book vibe to me just because of the plot. So that was my biggest thing with it, is I expected it to be more sci-fi. I expected to feel like I was in space or on a different planet, and I didn't feel that way, which was part of why it got a 4-star. But I still think that the book was good, and I still had fun. I still enjoyed aspects of it. I still had fun with the characters. I just wanted more sci-fi. The next book destroyed me emotionally for days. This book was so good. Oh my gosh, my cat. Milo, get down. As long as he's not climbing on the books, I don't mind if he's up there. It's just sometimes he'll try to sit on top of the books, and that's a no for me. No. But yes, the next book I read, don't mind my cat in the background too. I'm just gonna let him kind of do his thing. He'll get down eventually. But the next book I read, yes, emotionally destroyed me. It was The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. And if you know anything about Kristen Hanna, her books are going to destroy you emotionally. It was so good though. It's a yes. I gave it 5 stars, even though I didn't like the ending, but I think it was the right choice, if that makes sense. I didn't like it, but I thought that the writer made the right choice. But I was just like, no, I was so sad. My heart was broken. I was so upset. I texted my friend who recommended it, and I was like, why would you do this to me? Why would you break my heart like this? Because the whole book is just so sad, but it's just written so beautifully. That's what I struggled with. I was like, this is so beautiful, but I'm just devastated right now. I'm absolutely devastated. So yeah, long story short though, it's a yes. It's a yes. It was so good. But if you don't want to be emotionally destroyed, probably don't read this one. But I do recommend it, and I think it was awesome. I read The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the last book in the Inheritance Game series. And I gave this one a 1 star, and it's going to be a no for me. It was the same issue that I had with the second one of like, what was the point of this book? And they just kept repeating everything from the first book. And so I got even more frustrated in this third one. I was like, we are just running around in circles, guys. We are running around in actual circles. What are we even doing right now? I was like, I just felt so frustrated. I was like, ugh. So yeah, that's going to be a no for me. I think that the first book in the series is good and fun, but I would say stop there. Read the first one and don't continue. It doesn't really matter what happens at the end of the third book because nothing really changes. Everything kind of just stays very similar to how it was before. A couple things change, but it's not much at all. So I would not recommend the third book or even for someone to continue the series. I also read my first Elsie Silver book, which was fun. I enjoyed it. It was Wild Love, which is in, actually I don't know which series that's in, and it does not say it on my phone here on my Fable app. So, but I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I gave this one a 4 star. I thought it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I really, really loved the daughter aspect. That was done so well, and I had so much fun. So this book is a yes. Really great romance. Really fun chemistry, really fun premise. Loved the daughter. She was sick. She was awesome. So yeah, 4 stars. And then y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, but I read The Hunger Games for the first time in February. I had never read the books. Well, I still haven't read the rest of them, but I've never read the books. I've never seen the movies. I've seen bits and pieces of the first movie and didn't love it when I saw it, which is probably why I never read the books, but I also was not allowed growing up. So now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I read what I want. So I'm reading The Hunger Games, but I really enjoyed it. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. Pleasantly surprised. I was worried I wouldn't like Peeta or Katniss because I didn't love them in the movie, but I love both of them. They're both great, especially Peeta. I think people might hate me for this, and I don't know if this is a controversial thing because I don't know a lot about these books, but I really liked Peeta. I thought he was such a cutie, such a sweetie. So I would say yes to this book for sure, and I gave it a 4.5 stars, and I don't remember why I didn't give it. Oh yeah, no, I remember now why I didn't give it 5. It didn't feel like a 5-star read to me. It wasn't a 5-star read for me, which is why I got a 4.5 instead of a 5-star. But this was a very fun first read, and I'm really excited to read the second one now because I kind of like Peeta. I kind of like him. He was kind of cute. And I kind of like Katniss. She was kind of fun. But Katniss did get on my nerves occasionally, but I did like her for the most part. The next one I read is Six of Crows by, I think it's Leigh Bardugo. Okay, I'm just gonna let you all know, I have dyslexia. So if I pronounce these things crazy, it's because genuinely it's not making sense up here. It's not clicking, it's not coming together. So, but I read Six of Crows for the first time, and I have some mixed feelings about this book. I'm gonna give it a yes for adults, a no for YA. If you are under the age of 17, do not read this book. This book has way too adult topics, I think, for it to be considered YA. And I'm not going to say what those topics are so that I don't get like demonetized or banned or whatever it is on YouTube. But they're like, these are adult topics. These are topics that a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old should not be reading about. I was shocked as I was reading it that it is considered YA. I was like, are you joking me? But I did really enjoy the book overall. So I'm giving it a yes if you're an adult. If you're under the age of 17, maybe even under the age of 18, it's a no. Ask your parent first, please. Before you read this, have them look into it before they allow you to read this. Because I just think it was just too dark for kids. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. The reason it didn't get 5 stars is because of the YA rating and the YA characters. So the characters are between the ages of 16 and 18. And they didn't act like 16 and 18-year-olds. They didn't talk like kids. They didn't act like kids. Nothing felt like they were kids. They all felt like adults. And then occasionally they would remind you that they're kids and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's weird. You'd be like, that doesn't make sense. And especially with like the task that they're doing in the book, there is no way a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old would be doing something like that. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't know. That was my biggest thing with it. Like, it just felt like there was this big disconnect between what was actually happening in the book and how old the characters were supposed to be. And so, yeah, that was my biggest issue, but it is a yes, and I did give it 4.25 stars, but didn't give it a 5-star because of that weird disconnect YA situation. The next one is controversial as well, so don't come for me, but I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I did not like it. I don't think there was maybe one thing that I liked about it, and that was Vivi, one of the sisters. She was great. I really liked her. She was cool. And she was the only one who felt normal. But I just didn't like this book. I didn't enjoy almost any of it. I was bored for 70% of the book. I didn't really understand why everything was happening because I was like, why are we doing this? Why have we gotten here? What's the plan? I was like, it didn't make any sense to me. So I was like, what are we doing? So yeah, I didn't like that book. I gave it a 2-star, and I'm gonna give it a no. The only reason I gave it an extra star is because the ending was kind of exciting, but not enough for me to like the book, and not enough for me to recommend it to anybody. So yeah, I didn't like the characters. I didn't want to root for anybody. I kind of wanted everyone to fail because that would have made me feel better, because everyone sucked except for Vivi. She was great. But yeah, wouldn't recommend this book to probably anybody. So yeah, not for me. The last book I read in February is The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave, which is the sequel to the first book, which is The Last Thing He Told Me, I think is what it's called. And this was a really good sequel. It was super short. It was only like, oh my gosh, sir. All right, he's just gonna hang out here the rest of this. He likes to sit on the back of the chair sometimes when I'm hanging out. So we're just gonna let him be here. Hi, bub. He can't figure out what he wants to do. Wow, okay. But the last book that I read in the series, not the last book I read in the series, the sequel was really good. It was only like 260 pages, and it was really fun, and I think it was a really good conclusion to the first book. It wrapped everything up very nicely in a neat little bow, and I felt really satisfied with the ending. I had fun with the journey that we went on throughout the book and felt really satisfied with the ending. So if you read the first one, liked the first one, I recommend this second one. I'm not going to do the yes, no, maybe thing because it is a sequel. And if you didn't like the first one, you probably won't like the second one. So that's why I'm not. But if you liked the first one, you'll like the second one. He is cracking me up. He's ridiculous. Say, I'm ridiculous. Say, I'm ridiculous. But yes, if you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one. So I'd recommend it if you read the first one. But again, if you didn't read the first one, this book isn't going to make any sense to you. So it would not be worth a read because it is so intertwined and interconnected that it just wouldn't make any sense. And I think, yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. He's kind of like acting as like a pillow. He can't stand to be alone, which is why he's right here, right now. He's been in the room the whole time. So I end up reiterating the same points over and over again sometimes in these, so I end up cutting it out sometimes, but sometimes I just leave it because girl's gotta get her point across, you know? But I had fun with this. I'm gonna try and not do these every other month and just do them once a month so that I can go into a little more detail about them. But I had the flu and got sick 2 other times in January and February. So I was super sick. So I was not filming at all. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm gonna try and keep caught up with all that stuff because I think that will help me not have to tell you guys about 28 books that I read in one video. So that would be, I think, helpful to everyone involved. But I still wanted to let you guys know what I read, what I thought of these books, in just a bit of a shorter video. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this, think about maybe subscribing. You don't have to, but if you do, it's also very nice and helps me. So, but we're just gonna have a chill, fun time on this channel. I'm gonna just kind of do whatever and go with the flow. And he'll be here sometimes with me, joining in. He is like full-blown, like leaning on my back. That's the only thing that's keeping him up. So, well, thank you guys for watching. Bye.